Hey everyone, as we celebrate 1 year doing the Ministry of Freedom show, we wanted to say thanks.
Thanks, guys.
At the beginning of each episode, we typically ask you to like, share, subscribe, contribute financially, and engage with us. Today, we want to ask what we can do for you. Seriously, what needs do you have? What challenges are you facing? What struggles, battles, worries are you dealing with? Give us a chance to come alongside you and offer some practical help. We can certainly offer prayer, maybe give you a nugget of encouragement. We continue to do this show and this ministry because God's written the mission statement on our hearts, right, Al?
Yeah.
The mission statement simply is God basically said to me, help my sons and daughters find freedom. And freedom begins with a foundational faith in Christ and continues with becoming strong, fit, and capable in all areas of your life. And I know that for Allie and I, our mission is to help equip you, encourage you, and love you. Please celebrate with us and enjoy episode 55 of the Ministry of Freedom show. Mike.
All right.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. This is your anniversary, bud.
It's our anniversary.
Well,
right?
I know, but
it's the show, it's the
ministry's
anniversary. So it's all of us, right?
I think mostly yours. You did
yeah,
this.
Jim, don't sell yourself short. You have set out. This was all your plan. You set out and you never gave up.
Yes. So thank you for that. I struggle with the compliments sometimes and I appreciate them. So thank you. That's very, very nice. So yeah, audience, it is episode 55, but it is our 1 year episode and it is election day. We're recording it obviously a few days before. Assuming the country hasn't blown up, then this is election day. And then tomorrow we're going to do another episode that's coming out on Wednesday, the 6th, that is going to be our post-election coverage. Right, Michael?
That's right.
I don't know if anything will be settled on Wednesday or not, but I think it's certainly worth discussing.
Oh, I think that some of the liberal cities will already be getting windows bashed out and businesses broken into by this time.
I agree. I wanted to read something in regards to that. So I follow Mike Glover. Do you know who Mike Glover is?
I do not.
Mike's part of the Andy Frisella, Greg Anderson crowd, Andy Stump crowd, the former special ops. He was I believe a Ranger. He's a CIA op. And anyway, he's got a company called Fieldcraft Survival. So he's kind of part of, that whole world, preparation world. His latest book's called Prepared. So he made a post this morning and it says, here's his predictions. Trump will win. Dems won't accept it. Violence and unrest break out. The news, the media promotes those folks as unheard patriots. The country teeters on civil war. He sees that as the outcome of the next couple of weeks in our country.
We kind of discussed it before, but like I said, I was in New Orleans when Trump beat Clinton. And they actually the Chase Bank right downtown, right in the Garden District, which is like the nice part of New Orleans downtown, where all the $1 million mansions are. The protesters went down there. They broke the windows out of a Chase Bank and several other stores down there. And then there was this gathering area where they wrote "Whites Must Die," spray painted it on the statue, but none of that got any coverage like the January 6th deal. Obviously, you know, I mean, the fact that people were out there protesting the winner of the election and saying racist things like whites must die. And you can look this up online. Just type in New Orleans, 16, whites must die. You can find the photos and people actually had to stay off the streets that night because these people were out blocking traffic, breaking windows and breaking into businesses. And, you know, that's a non-starter for the media.
Yes, I think that they'll have a different approach. And I agree with Mike that the media won't be silent on this, but they will portray them as the heroes.
Yeah.
Those that are trying to save democracy.
It'll be worse this time. It'll be worse than the Hillary.
It'll be way worse. And I think Trump will win. And I think that there will be unrest. If Harris wins, I don't think that a bunch of right-wing people, conservative people, are going to be out in the streets talking about
I won't go break into the local grocery store and steal anything.
I don't think if Harris and Walz win this election, that entitles Allie and I to break the windows out of Walmart and steal a TV.
Well, just because I don't want anything from Walmart.
Oof.
Oh my gosh, you're sounding so plasticky right now.
Yeah.
I know. Do I seem really chemical?
Right.
You're gonna have to be a little more down to earth, Allie.
Be a little more
Just so
relatable.
everybody knows I am a normal dude, and I do want a TV from Walmart.
Correct.
I
Yes.
will steal an 84-inch TV from Walmart if given the opportunity.
Now, maybe anthropology. That seems a little bit more up my sleeve.
Oof. Man, we're just privileged all the way around.
I just want electronics. I just want an Xbox and a TV.
So yeah, there's our start to the anniversary show with a little privilege and a little election coverage and some predictions for what this next week or two might entail in our country. So let's move on to the business of looking forward, and we'll look back and then we'll look forward a little bit, as most anniversary things should do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you ready to start with scripture?
We should have a scripture.
My favorite book in the Bible is the book of James. I love it. It's in the New Testament. James was Jesus's actual earthly brother. Did you know that, Michael?
I did not.
Yep. Blood brother. Half brother, maybe. Not exactly sure on the specifics, but I know he was his brother. So in James 4:13 and 14, he writes, "Listen carefully, those of you who make your plans and say, 'We are traveling to this city in the next few days. We'll stay there for 1 year while our business explodes and revenue is up.' The reality is you have no idea where your life will take you tomorrow. You're like a mist that appears one moment and vanishes another." What do you think of that word?
It's pretty deep.
So James is telling us, essentially, we make all these plans and we're going to do this and our business is going to do this. But you know what? We don't really have any freaking idea. We don't know what tomorrow is going to look like in this country or in our homes or in our lives, do we?
No.
And then you're like a mist that appears one moment and vanishes the next, and that is life. So I thought that was a great scripture for today, because we do a lot of looking ahead, and here's our plans, and here's what the ministry is going to look like, and this is what the podcast is going to be, and we're going to do this, and we're going to sell these books, and you know what? Some of that's come to fruition, but the vast majority of it looks entirely different than we sat down and forecast a year ago. And Allie and I were visiting with some folks last night that are going to do a website for us. So our friends Amy and Q Dillard, she has Dillard Management. She's been on the show, and they're going to do some work for us and social media stuff. And we're excited to work with them. But we talked with them about the first book, and they discussed some comments that they had about it. And I said, and I've shared this before on the show, I could not write that book today. My heart is so much different than a year ago when I first put pen to paper on that, doing that work. That book couldn't be written today. And that's, I think, what James is telling us in his scripture is, you don't know what tomorrow holds. And if you're willing to grow and improve and get better and trust God's lead, then you're going to be vastly different. Your plans are going to look different. His plans will look different than the plans you've made in your life. And I think that's the gist of that scripture. So fitting for an anniversary show, I think.
Yep.
Jump in anytime you want, you too, Al.
Okay.
But I wanted to go through the shows that we've done in the last year and mention the guests that we've had on, and maybe say a quick word. Some I'm still in contact with a lot, some not as much, but I thought we'd roll through them, mention the episodes they're on in case people want to go back and check those out. And then if you guys want to jump in with any comments on these folks, you certainly can. Cool?
Yep.
Okay, first guest is the guest who's been on by far the more shows than anybody else. You know who that is, Mike?
Probably me or Bruce, huh?
So it's you.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Bruce wasn't considered a guest. Bruce was actually my official business partner for a while. So we don't call him a guest.
Okay.
So, at this point, I think even if we included him, it's probably you. You've been on a ton of shows because you did a lot with the two of us. So yeah, your updates. You got anything you want to share with the audience that might not know you or is up to speed with you?
I don't know. I'm back in Louisiana today for the weekend.
Oh.
Yep. I've sold our house here. We closed in August. We bought a house in Iowa last November, and I still have a commercial building down here with an apartment in it. So still going to come down here, spend a little bit of time here, especially as it gets colder in Iowa. I've lost my Iowa genetics of being able to embrace the cold. So I think I will snowbird a little bit this winter.
Nice. It's going to be 60 here next week in November.
All right. And I will be back for that.
Not to interrupt, but did you race recently?
I raced last Saturday in Winston, Missouri. There was only 7 cars in the field. It was a late model race. So I raced 2 different cars, a crate model and a late model. They're just different engines.
Okay.
So this was the late model. I ran second. It's a track I've never been to. But again, there was only 7 cars there. And the guy who won was actually pretty amazing. Like I take a few shots there. We're trying to get on where he was at. He was a couple tenths faster than me every lap.
Wow.
And then this weekend, I'm going to race in Pike County, Mississippi with the crate late model. And that's about an hour and a half north of New Orleans. And it's practice on Thursday, race Friday, Saturday. I expect there'll be 40 to 50 cars there. So that'll be a little bit tougher.
Wow.
It's kind of a traveling series.
On something like that, will you stay in like the motorhome?
Yep. We're just going to take the motorhome up there and hang out there. It's close enough that we could come back to the apartment each night if we wanted to drive the hour and a half or whatever each way. But yeah, we will just go up there and camp out and stay there for the weekend. And then we fly back Monday back to Iowa, back into the Omaha airport Monday.
What is the difference then between the crate and the normal late model? Which one is more powerful?
The normal late model is more powerful. Those things are 850 to 900 horsepower. The crate cars are 400 to 450 horsepower.
What does your late model weigh with you?
2,300 pounds. Driver at the end of the feature, 2,300 pounds.
So 900 horsepower, 2,300 pounds.
Holy
Yeah.
Dude, that's getting after it.
That's crazy.
Do you know how much horsepower NASCARs have, like the Cup cars have? Is it 1,000?
No, they're in the 7s, and maybe they might be in 8 now. I know they used to be in the 7s on the short tracks. They're in the 5s on the super speedways.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're restricted on cubic inch. So our open late models, you can have like our engines can be 450, 460 cubic inches, where NASCAR's got to stay at that 360 cubic inch. And we get aluminum blocks and lighter weight components that they don't get.
I like it.
Yep.
Just out of my own curiosity, and if you don't want to say, just say, I don't really want to say, but what does a motor cost for the late model?
A brand new late model
brand
engine,
new, ready to rock.
$50,000.
What?
Yeah, $50,000 for the engine.
That's a lot of money.
I was thinking like 5.
Yeah.
So the crate engines, which are built by GM, you can't touch them. The engines are sealed. You're not allowed to open them up in any way. Those are turnkey now. You're spending almost 10 with a carburetor and headers on them. Those things, they run a long time and you don't have to mess with them. You can have them for several seasons.
And so your $50,000 motor doesn't go
every 1,000 laps. You're supposed to pull it out and rebuild it.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
That's an expensive hobby, Mike.
I know. Yeah, I've often said
no, but I do want to race his car, though. Mike promised me when we went to the Speedway that I could race his car.
You said she could do a lap.
Okay.
Hot lap.
Okay. All right. We'll have to work that out. I don't know. I used to always tell people as a joke that I should have got into heroin. It'd have been cheaper and I'd have weighed less.
For sure. Speaking of driving, so this last week, I have really focused on improving my driving.
I've been watching. He's been driving with only one foot.
And how's it been going?
I mean, I'd give it about a 4, but it takes.
It'll get better.
Yeah.
I'm so paranoid.
You're not running the gas and the brake with your right foot instead of double foot.
Yes, but I'm so paranoid that every time I see a light go yellow and somebody's in the car with me, I'm like, don't step on the brake too hard. Don't jerk it. And when
he has to have his foot all the way back now. I've been paying attention.
Yes, I don't like it, man. I'm going to buy a 5-speed.
Oh, absolutely not. That's up for discussion.
All right. Ready to move on? Have we handled this Mike Collins guy? Can we get on to the next person?
Yes, next person.
Next person. Our man Marco. Do you remember Marco?
I love Marco.
Love Marco. Me too. Marco was on episodes 10 and 11. And we discussed, the episodes were called Sobriety versus Freedom. And Marco was very transparent, very honest and open about his struggles with addiction and where his life is now. And that we recorded those shows in the fall into winter of last year. I saw Marco and I'm in contact with him fairly regularly. He is doing amazingly well. He has an amazing career. He's in the auto industry. He's one of the best salespeople I've ever been around. I used to work with him when we were way younger. He's with one of the biggest and best groups in our market. He does a tremendous job. He actually lives about a block from the church house in Missouri Valley. He actually sent me a picture one day. It was kind of creepy, from his porch of the church house. And I'm like, dang, dude, are you watching me? So he lives really close to there. He's got a great family. He's a father. His kids are doing amazingly well. One of his sons was homecoming king, I believe. And Marco's doing great. I love Marco. I love his brothers. These are solid people. I'm fortunate to know him. I'm blessed that he came on the show. And I would, for those that are newer to the show, please go back and check out episodes 10 and 11, especially if you or other people in your life are struggling with addiction of any kind. These shows will help you. And that's ultimately why we do the show. So please go back and check those out. Any thoughts on Marco?
We like him.
Like him. Yep. Good dude. The next guest that I'll mention, we called this guy Anonymous Tradamus. So those are good episodes as well. Those are episodes 15 and 16. So this gentleman, his name was Mark Jeffrey. He didn't want to have his name on the shows because of the career that he was in. And he's got some views that were considered controversial, and he didn't want issues in his workplace. Reason I outed him now is that Mark passed away a couple months ago. Suddenly. I mentioned this on a show. Mark was one of my dear friends, and we spent a lot of time together since last summer. And he was only 59 years old. And he had recently committed to working on his health and had lost weight, and he's gotten strong. He had gotten stronger and so on fire for Jesus and his faith life. And he's got a wonderful family. And just got a phone call one morning that told us that Mark had passed. I would love for people to go back and find out a little bit about who he was and what he was about on episodes 15 and 16. Those are good catch-up episodes. And some of it you'll shake your head, and some of it you'll be like, wow, it turns out in hindsight, our man Mark was close.
He called Biden dropping out, correct?
He did. He did call that. Yeah. He's called quite a bit of stuff. He called gold hitting a record right before the election. It did. I don't know that takes any kind of expert forecaster, but he did say a lot of stuff that I was shaking my head, and some of it I'm like, dang, man, Mark was right. So I miss Mark, miss him dearly. He was a great dude, and he leaves an awesome legacy, and we miss him and we honor him. So those are episodes 15 and 16. You remember Misty Dew?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Misty Dew. Now, this is something interesting. Allie, you might not know this. So Misty Dew was on episodes 18 and 19. And when you throw in the views we got from the Misty Dew episodes and the shorts, she is by far leaps and bounds, and no one's even close, the most popular episodes.
No.
I would assume so. Her stuff got a lot of comments.
It did. And some of her shorts had 13, 14,000 views, comments after comment. And Misty still works at the company that Allie and I worked at, a company that I created back in 2007. Misty's been there about 10 years now, and she still has a leadership position in that organization. We see Misty once a month or so, wouldn't you say, Al?
Yep, I do dinner with her once a month.
Yep. She's a good lady. Misty's grown a lot in the time that I've known her. I encourage people, go check out Misty. She's got unique views. She comes from a perspective of, she's a former extreme liberal who, like RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and some others, has been a little bit become disenfranchised with the crazy on the left. And her perspectives have changed over the years. And I think that people that would go back and listen to episodes 18 and 19 would see that. And then if you're friends with Misty, or you know her in quote unquote real life, you'll even see, since we did those 2 episodes, I think her views have changed.
Yeah, evolved a little bit more.
Yes, constantly evolving. Love Misty Dew. Appreciate that she did the show. She's a good lady. Bob Bogart. You remember the show we did with Bob?
Yeah.
So I was coaching Bob for a while on some health and fitness things. Bob's doing great. I reach out to him once in a while. We speak on occasion. He's got a business that's freaking booming. It's called Rescue Air Heating and Cooling. Bob was on episode 21. He lives fairly close. He's got a family. He's just living life. I think that Bob would be the first to admit he probably needs to do a little recommitting possibly to his health and fitness and getting himself in the shape that he knows he needs to be in. But he is putting in effort, and he's on the path, and he knows that I'm here for another guest spot if he wants to come on, or on a personal level, anything that he would need in that regard. Episode 22 was Collins and Collins Incorporated. Remember that show?
I do.
Yeah, so we had your wife on. Nancy was on that show. By all accounts, Nancy's doing well. Career's booming. She's got a wonderful husband, right?
I mean, the guy's okay.
I mean, when I think of Nancy Collins, the first thing I think is awesome husband.
Yep, me too, actually.
So yeah, I mean, you could sit here, you could say all the kind things you want about your wife, but I think we know how you feel.
When people see Nancy and I together, they think that I'm married out of my range, but you and I know that she probably married up, honestly.
Should we just go on?
So the next person that we have is
So we love Nancy. We miss Nancy, and we'd like to see you guys soon.
Yep.
Who's next, Al?
Jason Fett.
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
No, Al's reading ahead. It's about a month ahead. We're going to go with David Chapman.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So David Chapman.
I thought you already did him.
No, I just did Nancy.
No, we've not touched on Chapman yet.
Haven't touched Chapman.
I'm very present in this episode, I promise.
That's all right. You just do it. You're just waiting to light your cake firework. Stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned. David Chapman. David is a freaking beast. I love David Chapman, rock star. He's been on episodes 23, 30, and 53. I met David because he was on a show, one of my favorite podcasts, Endless Endeavor with Greg Anderson. And so I reached out to him. He traveled up here, spent a day with me. We did some workouts. We recorded the show. I had him back on for an update on episode 30. Then on episode 53 a few weeks ago, because David lives in the heart of the area in North Carolina that was most catastrophically impacted by Hurricane Helene. And he shares really great insight and things you're not going to see or hear on the news. And I want people to go back and take an hour of your time and listen to episode 53 with David. Next one, we know this guy, Chris King.
Christopher.
We know Chris King. You know Chris King, right, Mike?
Chris King.
Chris King was on episode 26. That was a really fun show. And people really responded to Chris King's episode. It's one of the most highly watched episodes we've ever done. And that's just King. King is all charisma and all energy, and he just goes for it.
Yeah, he's a genuine guy.
He is. He's a genuine dude. When people ask me about Chris King, one of the first things I share is people say this about other people, but it's sometimes not. They don't really mean it, but I really mean this. This is one of the only people I know that would drop anything for anybody at any given moment and do anything they needed. He would show, if you called Chris at 2:30 in the morning to come out and help you change a tire, he's going to do it. If your last engagement with him was a year ago and it was bad in a fight or whatever, and you call and need something from him, he's going to do everything in his power to help you. His heart is that guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You guys could have been fighting before you guys spoke, and he's right there for you. Chris
also is still in a leadership position in the business that Allie and I built and were part of. He does a great job. And he and Misty work together every day. So that's kind of the tie-in there.
Yep.
And good dude. Episode 26, for those that want to go back and revisit Chris King. It's a good one. The next guests were on episode 29. So there's 3 episodes later, I did an entrepreneurial roundtable. So this was Chris's wife, Leslie, and then Amy Dillard. And I mentioned Amy at the beginning of this show because Amy and her husband Q have a company called Dillard Management that is partnering with Allie and I for our next ventures as we move forward. And that's a great episode too. There's unique perspective from 2 women who are killing it in their fields and who've risked a lot to start operations on their own.
Yeah, and we talked about Leslie last week because her sister and her mother-in-law started Tipsy Sisters. So they're just killing the game.
Yeah. And Chris sent me a message and I said, hey, congratulations on that new gig. He goes, yeah. He says, these girls just won't stop. He says, ... but I love it. Okay.
Are they doing something else now?
No, but he's like, here, we got the L&M destinations for the travel agency that they got off the ground. And now we're going to do this. And so who knows what's next, but they're all about it. I love that spirit. Mike, you know Tamara Bruno, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she was on episode 32. I reconnected with her on Instagram. And then right before we started recording our show, she asked me, hey, did you used to live on 35th and G in Council Bluffs in the mid 90s? And I'm like, oh boy, where's this going? And so it turns out I met her back then and didn't even know it when I asked her to come on the show. And we've got some mutual friends. And I reached out to her the other day. I said, hey, I'm doing an anniversary show. I'm going to mention you because you were on the show. Any updates or anything you want me to share on the show? She's like, no, not really. I'm doing well. Family's good. Business is booming. All good. So that's the Tamara Bruno update. The next show that I had a guest on was the very one after Tamara's show. And I did a show with Jason Fett.
Yeah.
I love that show.
That's a good one.
We discussed Harrison Butker, the kicker from the Chiefs, and his controversial stance on women and families and faith. And Jason's daughter graduated from college at the school where Harrison Butker gave that speech down in Kansas. And that perspective was very unique. And that episode, maybe our second biggest one we've ever done from a viewership perspective.
Yeah, people really like that one.
Can you talk about comments? Oh, my word. Man, people hate Christian stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And why? Just to...
Yeah. That's a good episode. Episode 33. Eric Tuttle. You know Eric.
Oh, yeah.
We did an episode with Eric on episode 37. Eric and I reconnected when I started the podcast. So I really wanted I wanted to mention him on the anniversary show. And we've had very heated debates at times, spirited conversations sometimes, all done with respect, all done with love. But he will speak his mind, and I love how his heart and his mind work in conjunction. And a lot of his perspectives line up with mine, but the ones that don't, he really is firm on. And so we get going on that stuff. So episode 37 is pretty good. I think you guys would enjoy that.
Yeah.
I also reconnected with a guy that I used to sell cars with 20 years ago, James Ross. That's episode 39. So I used to call him PT because he had a ponytail. So when I hooked up with him 20 years later, still has the same ponytail, just gray ponytail. You didn't get to meet James, did you?
No.
Good dude. Not a lot to update here. Comes from a background, you can hear this on episode 39, of drugs and prison, in and out of prison, and not just sitting in county for a week, real stretches in real prison. And his stories are more entertaining than you see on TV. Probably wasn't entertaining to live them, but James is quite a dude. His passion is he is going to school to be licensed to counsel people that are coming out of prison. He helps them through addiction issues and also career and job placement, helping them with resumes and things of that nature. So
that's really cool.
And his heart is for that. And who better to relate to folks that are having those struggles than him? So kudos to James. I had breakfast with him a couple months ago. Solid guy. We need more dudes like James Ross. The next couple people are the Mikes. And I don't mean to exclude you.
No, that's okay.
Mike Schinker, Mike Freeman. These are dudes that I've known for years from Lifegate Church here in Omaha. Two of my most dear friends. They've been on multiple shows. First one we were all on together was episode 42. They've been on more of those together. Sometimes Schinker's on by himself. But there's so much good insight that these guys give. Mike Freeman is actually a client in the Suck Cycle program right now. As of today, he's on day 11 of 49 days. This guy is changing his life. He's changing his life by changing his discipline, his habits, his training. I meet with him once a week in person and walk him through different training sessions and design workouts for him. And to watch a guy 66 years old, to watch a guy drop weight while he gets stronger, build his confidence, and just transform is inspiring, because a lot of people at that age think, well, that's not for me. Now it's just time to sit back and get fat, get lazy, and wait to die. And he's like, you know what? Not me. And he was humble enough to realize I probably need a little help to do this. And he intersected with me in this way. And I said, great news. I've got a program. Let's go. So that's pretty fun for me. And I'm excited to see his transformation. I will have him on whenever he wants to come on, certainly at the end of his cycle, which ends on Pearl Harbor Day. He thought that was kind of cool. He's a former military guy, and so he's a patriot. So ending his cycle on December 7th, he thought was pretty cool. But I'd like to have him on in the middle of it so he can discuss his challenges and the victories and maybe inspire some other people to hook up. The last person that we had on as a guest, who I don't consider a guest anymore, is kind of a regular and a permanent fixture, is this beautiful young lady sitting next to me. Hi, Al.
Hello.
Allie first appeared on episode 52. Is that right?
That's not true. I've been in other ones. Just popping
up. Walkthroughs. There were some walkthroughs.
Cameos.
Yeah. I was lingering in the back.
Yeah, that's just
lingering.
We don't consider lingerers.
No.
52 was your first.
Okay,
I think when you actually sat and looked in the camera, I think that's when it starts.
That's right.
But yeah.
So, boy, have Allie and I had fun with some comments of late. So, of course, the obvious ones are, who's that beautiful chick sitting with her dad? Heard that one. And then what'd you get this morning? What was your comment, Al?
That I'm plastic and that I've had a lot of chemical work done.
Yeah. Chemicals and plastic.
Yeah. And I'd like to tell you guys that I just use a lot of skincare, and I don't smoke, and I eat well, and I train. So you too can look like me. If you can look plastic. If you do what I do.
Okay, so you don't have any Botox going on or anything?
Okay, so I have lip filler, but I haven't had that in about almost a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
So that's a no then. If you haven't had it in 2 years. So basically what you got going on is good skincare. Mm-hmm. You're young. That helps, by the way. When you say you two can look like me, us two cannot.
Mike, stop. Remember we did the eye patches.
Hello.
Yeah. I see it, bud. And then you also happen to be blessed with a large breast and butt.
Mike.
Right. Some people might think that they're fake though, but they're not, right?
They're not.
See?
All of my assets are real.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I think that needed stated. I know you guys are a little embarrassed and leave it to me to bring it up.
In case if anybody was wondering
anybody was wondering, they're large natural breasts. This is not some plastic
Correct.
breast.
Yes. So
that is how you're genetically disposed.
Thank you, Mike. I leave it to you to stick up for me on the internet. This is why I keep you around.
So thank you for setting the world straight.
Yes. And although Jim is old enough to be your father, he's not your father. He's no relation.
None.
That would be in
Jim, as another guy who happens to have if Nancy was my fourth child, so I have 3 children. If Nancy was to be added in there, she was to be one of my 4 children. She would be the 3rd youngest. There would be 1 child younger and 2 older. So
I love that, dude.
So have you ran into this? Obviously, you ran into it on the internet here. Have you actually ever been? I have been sitting at dinner and places with Nancy where young waiters come over and actually start flirting with her right in front of me.
She does get flirted with, and I think is oblivious to some of it by waiters and stuff. They don't lean over my shoulder to help me read certain things.
Right. I'm going to give you my move. This is my move. I don't know if you want to use it, but you're more than welcome.
Go.
Anytime that I am questioned about, and who is this? They're thinking it's one of my kids. I like to say, she's daddy's favorite, and stick my tongue right in her mouth.
I would die. I would I would
Well, she does. Believe me. Nancy is like that cat on Pepe Le Pew trying to get away because she knows it's coming. It's happening.
They don't play that cartoon anymore, bro, because the woke police said it's rapey.
Well, and
Right.
see, and Nancy gets more uncomfortable about things than I do.
Yeah, you just let it roll off your back.
So if Nancy gets uncomfortable with that, gosh, I
can't. Yeah, Mike, that's amazing.
Well, you might get uncomfortable when Jim grabs the back of your hair and says, "This is Daddy's favorite," and comes in for a big whack.
Mike Collins.
Yeah. So probably won't do that, but let's leave it as an option.
Okay.
I don't want to say
the
never.
looks. I'm just telling you, the looks are good.
I would assume. Would you do that with us in public so we can see it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, poor Nancy.
She probably doesn't mind.
No, she does definitely get embarrassed.
All right. So that's a recap of all the guests. You can go back and listen to this again, rewind a little bit, or go check out the YouTube episodes or the Spotify or Apple.
All right. What about upcoming guests? Do you have anybody picked out? I mean, now, can we get some people that are like semi-famous now, or now that you got a year under your belt? Can we start?
So we're working on having Jim on some other shows, but we don't want the cat out of the bag on those because that's up and coming, and we're talking to some people with that. So that's going to be let out here soon.
Yeah.
But just keep your ear to the ground and watch our socials so you can see when those get released. But that is something that we are working on for people to come on here that haven't been before, that Jim doesn't know, that you might be listening to their podcast, and for Jim to appear on other people's stuff.
So if you go on someone else's, it's like a bigger podcast, then obviously you can try to secure permission to air that on yours.
Yeah, sometimes podcasts do that to where they'll agree that it goes on both shows.
Yeah,
try for that while you're negotiating. It sounds like you guys have some things in the works. So
and it's not even really negotiating. It's just, hey, you want me to come on your show and talk about some stuff? It's actually pretty simple. So we'll see.
Yeah, what we've been trying to do to kind of blow this thing up, take it next level.
So
you have a second book coming this next year.
I do, yeah. So we'll get to that.
So the things that you did this year, I mean, are you pretty happy with did you make all your goals? Is there things that you wanted to accomplish for your first year out that you didn't, or have you hit all your marks?
That's a lot of questions, and here's how I'll answer it. If I hit them all, then I really screwed up setting goals. So no, I didn't hit them all. And I went back and reviewed, because I know we did an episode about what my targets were for 2024. So as I went back and found it, it was episode 12. So that's called All Out Life. And that title comes from the Slipknot tune. Remember, I read the Slipknot lyrics. I don't know if you remember recording that show.
I do.
And then talked about some targets that I had set. So I'll breeze through some of them because I went and checked out the episode and jotted these down. So the first thing I wanted to do was complete Jocko Willink's Deaf Reset. So that's a 30-day program. There's different things involved in it with nutrition and training and all these things you have to do every day for 30 days. So I did that in January, completed it. My biggest, what I think was the biggest one, was to complete 75 hard. So I did that as well. That started in April, ended on June 16th, and it actually ended maybe the 15th. And then the next day the book came out, was my sobriety birthday. You remember that stretch in June when all that stuff kind of came together?
Oh boy, do I.
Yeah. So 75 hard was amazing, and it's freaking hard. I'm really glad that I did it. I could see myself doing it again.
When?
Next year.
Someday.
I don't have the days set.
I just want to, because
it was tough on the family.
Yeah. Because I really tried to make meals that Jim could eat so he wasn't excluded. So it was definitely, it was different, but it was nice. We were all eating super clean for those 75 days. Yeah. But boy, was I happy when we got to have cheese in the meals.
Right. So I'll say this, because you do progress pictures and stuff every day throughout 75 hard. And when I finished 75 hard, I was in pretty good condition. And that finished in the middle of June. And then I didn't become some kind of slob when it was done, but we did go on vacation.
Yeah, we left 3 days later.
Yeah. And so I got a little bit, maybe not in as good a shape as the day I finished, but I would say this: today, I'm in better shape than the day I completed 75 hard. So that propelled me, taught me a lot of things about lifestyle and how even if you're not on program, that you can implement a lot of that stuff that helps you to push and be better. So I think that's the mental strength that it gives you, I think is even more important than the physical, because I was able to take those tools moving forward and continue to transform. So that's been cool. 75 hard, I recommend it. Go to Andy Frisella's podcast, The Real AF Show. Episode 208 on his podcast lays out 75 hard. You don't need to spend a dime to do it. There's a book involved if you want to buy the book, but I recommend it. It's good stuff. Next thing on that list was I said I wanted to publish a book. Now, when we recorded the show, when we recorded episode 12, I don't even know if I'd started putting pen to paper yet. But I know I wanted to write a book.
What month did you?
I'm not really sure. I want to say it was probably December. So that's about when I would have started writing.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you just had some notes going.
That could be, because that took, there's some outlining and there's some ideas and some notes. And then when I really started the grind, I did it 7 days a week for about 3.5 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because we had all that snow. Remember, Arlie missed all that school.
Yeah.
And so you were in the den for 7, I want to say like for full work
days.
It
was full work days. And I was just, sprung on coffee and writing and typing. And it was a pretty fun experience. So I did say I wanted to publish a book. So check, that got done as well. The other thing that I mentioned was I said that we needed to acquire some sort of real estate assets and figure out what we want to do with them, whether it be a flip to make some money, whether it be to do land contracts or rentals or those types of things. So we've done that, right?
Yeah.
We got one on the market now. Yes, Mike?
Yep. And what have we done? We got the obviously
well, we
church
sold
house,
two.
We sold two, and we got a
two
third
this
one
year.
pending. Or a
Yep,
third one pending. And
oh, wait
and
a minute. I
fourth
didn't
one.
know it was pending.
Yeah.
Nobody
The
told me
Avenue E
anything.
house is pending. We told you that when we were on the race thing.
No, I was up to that guy, but I thought that guy couldn't figure it out.
No, I
No,
think
it's going through.
Going
Still
through.
working on it.
Nobody tells me anything around here.
well, we'll work on that.
Thank you.
No.
I would like better communication for my business
Up to
partner.
this point, Mike, I've only been waking Allie for the important meetings.
Okay. All right.
So
Still pending. The same guy is still working his way, but I think it's all falling into place.
and then we have the
Wonderful.
church house.
The church house, which is looking beautiful.
We went up yesterday, dude.
Is it coming along?
Yeah. He's really doing a great job on that.
So I'd say check mark on that.
Yeah.
On the targets on that.
Yep.
Yes. The next one I put grow the show beyond the targets. So the targets that were set, we did not reach those. And I wanted to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube at the end of 1 year. And right now, as the show is being recorded, we've got about a week to go.
Yeah. And we're at
We're at 700. And I've been on social media.
Farther than I thought. I hadn't looked lately. 700 is pretty good.
700. It is
I would
pretty
have guessed
good.
5. That's good. All right.
Yep. So we're 700, but it's not the target of 1,000 that we set. And I also wanted to have 750,000 overall views on YouTube, and we're just under 500,000. So, we did fall short on those targets. I thought the targets were pretty lofty, so it's okay to fall a little bit short. I always say that the target is perfection, and then we're going to settle on excellence.
Yeah.
So I feel good about where that's at. But I wouldn't give it a check mark.
Yep.
I also said that I want to be a guest on the Endless Endeavor podcast that I'd mentioned with Greg Anderson. And I went back and found some emails going back and forth with Greg and I, and he is very willing to have me fly out to Seattle and be on his show. And I do want to do that. And I don't know that I'll get it done in the next month, but I will follow through with that because I think it's a great opportunity. I want to make sure before I go out there that I have an infrastructure to our ministry that I can direct people to, because I don't want to just go out there as somebody that he lets on his show to plug something because he's a man of his word. I want to be on that show so I can actually create value for his audience. And right now, I think I can do that, but I don't have a central place to send his audience to to peruse what we do, to become familiar with our mission and figure out if it's something they'd like to implement into their lives. So when that foundation is more set, I'm going to follow through with that. And that might be December and it might be early next year, but I don't consider that a win and a check mark because I'm not going to do it in the first year, but it is still coming down the road. And Greg's a solid dude. It's my favorite podcast. I've been following him since he started, and I am about what he's about. So audience, Endless Endeavor Podcast, Greg Anderson. Follow him on all the socials, on YouTube. His show's amazing. It drops new every Thursday morning. And he's a pro, he's a patriot, he's a warrior, and he's inspiring. So those were the things. So overall, Mike, I say, I maybe give myself a B for that. And that's okay. And because there was some turmoil in that as well. Things just like the scripture said from James at the beginning, we had all these plans and it's going to go this way, and things can blow up quick, can't they?
Yep.
And so they did. And we persevered through those, and we're moving on. So I took a few notes here that I thought we'd discuss. I did some reflecting on the first 10 months of 2024. And because we're doing this the end of October, so Halloween's tomorrow. Yeah.
I know. Do you have a costume, Mike?
No, I'm going to go as myself.
Oh, I guess that is.
I'm going as you.
I will put the race car suit on tomorrow.
Yay.
I'm going as Mike.
I am.
Oh. You're what?
Okay. So listen to this, dude.
No, I'm popcorn.
I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to expand on it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were cutting me off.
No.
Wow.
Her costume is freaking amazing. So it's got like a hat that is popcorn, like popcorn kernels. And then the body of it it's kind of sexy, I guess, for lack of a better term, but it looks like the bag that you get like at the movies.
Yeah. So
she's going as popcorn, and here's why. Are you ready?
Because I'm a snack.
She's a snack.
So my pants are sequins, and they're like bell bottoms, and then it's a 2-piece. Yeah, I'm a snack.
Snack. Where will you be going?
So I'm actually going out of town for 10 days. I'm going to go visit my dad, and we're going to do a bar crawl in Ohio. And so he is dressing up as a gangster, and I'm popcorn.
Okay.
So Jim will be a bachelor, which ties into the rioting and stuff like that. I had to get special.
Well, Jim will be free to go riot on Tuesday.
Well, I guess he is to do whatever he'd like. But Jim got me special mace at 88 Tactical because driving through Illinois, they've got stringent gun laws, and I get finicky about taking my gun that far. So he got me mace, this gel mace that I can spray if someone tries to come up to my car and like.
When you get to Illinois, dude, you're supposed to have your gun disassembled.
Yeah, and like in the back of your car.
And in the trunk or the very back. So, okay, whatever. That's the freaking blue states.
Just curious, how's that working for them? I mean, gun crime's probably really low then.
I think so. There is a major city in Illinois. What do they call it, Al?
Chicago.
It is Chicago. And I don't know for sure.
I think they actually have a lot of murders there.
I've heard of murder there.
I think it's all knife murder, though. I don't think it's all gun murder.
Well, because if there's no guns, then obviously bad guys don't have guns. So there must be a lot of fist fights and a lot of slashings.
That end bad. Yeah, fist fights that end in death a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's just massive beating. Come here, rascal.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
So I'm bringing this gel mace. So I'm excited. I hope I get to use it.
So yeah, the gel mace, dude. So it doesn't like.
In actuality, if you get to Chicago and the gel mace you feel like isn't strong enough, the good news is you can just run into Chicago and buy a handgun on most any corner, and you'll be good.
No permit needed.
No. I went to Chi-Town one time on a business trip, and there was a guy that just got released from the hospital, I think, and he was walking with an IV and one of those saline bags down underneath the bridge. Do you remember that, Jim? I
do. I was in bed, and we were on a business trip, and the crew I was with, unbeknownst to me, decided at 11 o'clock it was smart to venture out of the hotel and walk to Chinatown.
It was 9, and I needed tampons.
It was midnight, And apparently the sundry shop at the beautiful hotel that has absolutely everything you could ever need had no feminine hygiene products. But the gas 7-Eleven in Chinatown was a lock to have them.
Right.
So my crew is wandering around, probably half intoxicated, through Chinatown, and they see a freaking bum with an IV below a bridge.
I did get to experience White Castle.
We have our own White Castle stories.
We do have our own White Castle stories. Mike and I had a similar experience.
And you shame me for it?
I didn't shame you. I was worried.
There was a lot. Here's the thing. Even if we do the eye patches and all that, lot less chance of Jim and I getting raped in Chicago.
No chance.
Just
no, definitely not saying no chance. Less chance.
If I was a hooker in Chicago and I saw you guys, I'd try to rape you. Does that make you feel good?
No, you'd want to get paid, right?
I think what you're mistaking crimes. You would rob us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've been to Chicago, and hookers don't look like you, Bill. Mm-hmm. They look a lot more like Mike and I. Yes. And they also have the same parts.
Yes.
So this is a family show.
Yes.
All right. So let's continue on. Couple of things to reflect on. All right. So what happened this year? So we got engaged. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I went to some faith-based conferences, and that's something that I haven't done in years and years, and I want to get back to doing. I did a conference called Pursuit at LifeGate that I talk about on an episode with Mike Collins. The episode's called Pursuit, so it's easy to find. Mm-hmm. I went to a deal last weekend called Cross Encounters. It was a church in Council Bluffs, and the lady's name that puts it on with her team, her name's Nancy McCready, MCCREADY, Nancy McCready Ministries. I encourage the audience, check her out. It was a game changer for me. A lot of interesting perspective. And I've been a Christian and been reading the Bible for 20 plus years. And I still am just undone at how the Bible comes alive and how different people can teach different things out of it in different ways that speak to your heart. And it was an amazing time. So that was pretty cool. I did surpass most of my training, health, and fitness targets.
I think so.
So I feel good about that. Second book. So not only published the first book, the second book should be out November 25th is our target. It's called Suck Cycle. The audience has heard me talk about it. There's a program that comes out with it. I am offering a coaching program that goes along with it, but you certainly don't need to pay me to coach you through it. If you want to do it on your own, you pick up a book and go through it with your friends or family or by yourself or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a game changer. It's 7 weeks long. There's 7 non-negotiables that need to be done every day. Some of them are faith-based and devotional-based. Some are training. Some are nutritional. And if you adhere to it, it's going to change your life in 7 weeks. I believe in it. So I hope that the audience is digging that. Let's see what else. Jan came to visit.
Yes.
That was cool. So my mom came to visit. I told you all that, right, Mike?
Yeah.
All right. You know, she plans on moving up here.
I did not know that.
So yeah, let me drop that bomb. We invited her to move from Georgia back up to be with us and to live with us and our family.
Yep.
So that's going to mean that we're probably going to need a little bigger home at some point.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh, hey, Rascal. What's going on, baby? Maybe you can get Rascal.
With what?
So, hey, Mike, speaking of that, when are these Crescent homes going to be available?
For why?
We'll talk off camera. Any thoughts?
No. I'm. So I changed the subdivision to be. It's just like 3 lots. And I sold 10.
Are they all gone?
Yeah, gone.
You sold them all?
Like, be so real. We're not.
I sold 10 acres to my neighbor to the north because he wanted to leave it pristine and it didn't really have a good access. Yeah. And then the 14 acres in the back, I'm going to keep. And I'm going to build.
Neil told me about you trying to sell those.
So did you sell any like actual lots to people that are going to build?
No.
So we're all going to live with you?
I haven't built the house yet. I guess this works.
No, be for real now.
I don't even understand what that term means.
Be so for real.
That's like that dude that said "Allet" to me. I don't know what he means either.
Oh, yeah.
I will live in this house, and I'm not moving there.
So there's plenty of room in this house if I move out.
That's fine. Bye.
We're having problems that we don't want to unpack in front of the audience.
Apparently.
We will have problems.
Seems to be getting pretty serious over there. So
It's
your mom
serious.
and you're going to live together. So I just need to build like a basement unit with a separate access for just you.
Yes.
That's fine.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yes.
So what do you want? You want a workout area, a sauna, a bedroom, and a TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mike.
That's it.
You're welcome.
And we'll pay rent.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we'll finish up.
Real. It's just going to be you.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not going.
No.
Yeah. So just me.
Okay.
I need 800 square feet.
Okay.
Just 80 by 10. I like that shape.
Like a jail.
Super narrow.
Yep. Gotcha.
All right. Allie and I are kind of working together again on the social stuff and building the ministry and all that. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I already touched on working with Q and Amy and their team. We touched on the Mo Valley Church House, and we're not quite sure what we're doing with that yet. I think, man, I hate even saying this out loud because I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to do this again for a while. I might do another book in 2025.
Okay.
Part of me thinks I need to write a fiction book, but a fiction book based a little bit on our reality, maybe some stories that we've lived and, change the names.
Yep.
Like is it Jack Ryan? Jack Carr?
Jack Carr is my favorite author.
Like those.
Yeah. So his stuff is fiction, but it's based upon his experiences and the teams and so we'll see. I don't even know why I threw that out. Maybe to hold myself a little bit accountable. We're going to do some in-person ministry stuff. So I'm going to try to be on some stages at some churches, sharing my testimony. And I think there's value in the person that's overcome the addictions and is able to have somewhat of a productive life. I think those stories can be inspiring and encouraging. And I think church is the perfect place for that because I think a lot of desperate people walk into church. And that's how it should be. Yep. What about you, Al? Doing a lot of school stuff? PTO mom?
I am a PTO mom, a classroom parent. I just participated in Arlie's Halloween party. I brought all the kids donuts and I put vampire teeth in the center of them. So the donuts looked like they were like eating. It was so cute. But yeah, just trying to get as active as I can in Arlie's school life. So it's been a lot of fun for all the kids to know who I am, to know that I'm like they can count on me to be there. When I walked into the classroom, they're all like, "Oh, I knew Arlie's mom was going to be here."
I love that line. We knew Arlie's mom would make it.
So it's just been really fun.
Yeah, that's our year in review. That's our anniversary show. And I got one thing I need to finish with, Mike. And I know you saw this because we've talked about it. I love that Madison Square Garden Trump event the other night. And I love Tony Hinchcliffe from the Kill Tony podcast. You're familiar with Hinchcliffe, right?
Yep.
So he said some pretty controversial stuff at that rally. Some things that, they couldn't even be construed as racist. They're racist. But they're freaking funny. And if we can't laugh at some of that stuff, even Puerto Rican people are laughing at that stuff. But he made a great point. And I wanted to, I made sure I got this down because I wanted to read it for verbatim. So he says, Trump survived an assassination attempt and Biden got COVID. Now, all that happened within a couple of days, remember?
Yep.
He says, we vote next week, but it turns out God voted 3 months ago. I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
So my contention is, I guess, as I repeat Hinchcliffe's words, is that God wants Trump to be president. And boy, when I said that on the internet.
Oh, and everyone was like, you're not God. You can't speak for God.
Oh, dude. I just have been poking the bear, man.
That's good. Heck yeah.
So as we finish up, Allie's got something she wants to do. And we'll see how this goes. It seems like it could be bad.
Happy birthday.
Happy anniversary, Jimmy.
Confetti popped, but it might have been hard to see.
Yeah, it was hard to see.
Oh, it's all over
It's all
Allie.
over me.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Yay.
Michael, we wouldn't be here without you, brother. We love you and we appreciate you. Allie, I love you and appreciate you. And audience, let's do another year of this darn thing.
Please.
All right, congratulations, Jimmy.
Love you, buddy.
All right, love you. Bye.